Okay, well, let's get started here. I try to keep these to 1 hour so you can tune in, get hopefully some good information that will help you, and just take 60 minutes out of your day. You should also know that this will be available on YouTube, that you can replay at any time or share it with any of your colleagues that you would like to. I will send you all a link as soon as it's up. It'll probably be sometime tomorrow that I'll have it edited down a little bit so it makes a little more sense. You'll see that chat bar over on your right where we've got a lot of people saying hello. Please feel free to use that to ask us any questions, and we'll try to answer them right here live. Today we have some rather large building material manufacturers. We have some small to medium ones. We have some dealers and distributors. In addition to people from all over the US and Canada, we even have some people from on the other side of the world, and I'm not sure what time of the morning it is there, if they're sitting in their pajamas listening in. So let's get started. So today we're talking about how to sell building material contractors. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Mark Mitchell. I'm a building material sales and marketing consultant. So when clients will say, we don't know why our products aren't growing sales as fast as we'd like, that's when they call me in to take give them an outside perspective and some different experience than they have. I've written 2 books. I've written a book, Building Material Channel Marketing, and then about several months ago, I co-authored How to Become a Building Industry Sales Rainmaker with Carlos Quintero from Sales Effectiveness Incorporated. To hopefully you've maybe read them. If not, I invite you to look at my 2 books. And my guest today is John Sunhalter from Cleveland, and he's from the agency Sunhalter. And in case you can't read there, I love his slogan, "Not afraid to get our hands dirty." And John's agency specializes in working with reaching the tradesman, as he calls it. I use the word contractor, he uses the word tradesman. And he has quite an impressive list of companies that he has worked with in the that want to reach tradesmen. You'll see there are a number of leading tool companies, but you'll also see Gerber Plumbing, who also has the brand Dan's that specializes in focusing on selling to the plumber, and MortarNet Solutions and Viega, several other ones. So I'm glad to have John on here to give you his perspective in addition to mine, and between both of us, hopefully we'll give you some good information. This is all about selling more stuff. This is not about theory and big ideas, or look how smart John and I are, and you should, if you hire us, you'll be more successful. Not that we wouldn't like you to hire us, but this is really about that you should be able to walk away and do some things. And it's all about selling more stuff. To us, any marketing program has to be about selling things. It's not just doing pretty marketing programs. So your takeaway today, I want you to think about what are several actionable strategies that you can use to grow your sales now. It may be great, and maybe you do need a new website, and that might take 6 months to a year. I'm hoping that you come out of this saying, wow, here's 2 or 3 things that I or we could start doing right now that will have a noticeable impact on our sales. I don't know if any of you have seen this commercial by General Electric. It really hit me. And if I could, I'm not going to play the commercial, but if we just take a look at the main lines, it's talking about ideas. And it says that ideas are the natural born enemy of the way things are. Ideas are frightening as they threaten what is known. And ideas are scary and messy and fragile. And I'll frequently, several times a year, I have live workshops where people come to Colorado and we spend 2 days together, and they'll leave with 20 pages of notes and all these things they know their company should do, and I check in with them several weeks later, and they run into all kinds of resistance. So I want you to think about, realize that you may hear some great things that you think make perfect sense for your company. Don't think that people that have not been on this webinar are going to embrace these changes as much as you do. So be prepared for some resistance. I pushed the wrong button. There we go. So contractors may be your most important customer. For many of my building material manufacturer or distributor dealer customers, contractors are their most important customer. They are the decision maker. Contractors are notoriously hard to reach, and they're hard to change. So we're going to address all those. One of the first things is I want you to think about, particularly John's going to cover this later, but some new ways more effective ways to reach contractors. And I always run into what I call the old white guy in our industry, or old white guy attitude, because I've met some young guys and girls that act like an old white guy, in which they think that the old way of doing things is the only way. So I also invite you to open your mind to some new ways of sales and marketing. And John and I can say this because we're both technically old white guys ourselves. I look at the marketplace and I look at who's more willing to change and who's less willing to change. And so I see the architect as being probably, of the different audiences, the person most likely or most willing to change because they want to constantly improve and make things better. I look on the other end of the scales, the contractor is less willing to change. And in the middle, we've got builders, dealers, distributors, and big boxes who tend to be swayed by architects or perhaps even consumers or home buyers. So today we're up against the people that are most likely to dig their heels in. So another one I want you to stop and think about is if your product is a commodity or more of a commodity, I'll use that. No one wants to tell me their product is not special, but let's just take vinyl siding and say, D4 Dutch lap white is probably the same from anybody. And what really makes the difference is you want your brand to be carried by the dealer or distributor. If you have a different product, like we'll say when fiber cement first came into the market, then the contractor is key. So if your product is a specialty, it's new, unique, it's maybe has a stronger brand, it's different than other products, then the contractor becomes the key. So if you have a product that is basically the dealer's going to show up, the contractor's going to show up at the distributor dealer and say, I need this quantity of this product. He may not care that much. He trusts the dealer distributor perhaps more than the manufacturer. So he'll take what they're carrying. Now today, we're going to talk about residential and commercial contractors, and we're going to talk about new construction and repair remodel, because each of you probably has a focus on residential or commercial or new construction or repair remodel. Contractors, we want to keep in mind, the contractor has four kinds of customers. The first is, of course, the residential builder. Another one for a different type of contractor can be the residential homeowner who wants a home improvement. Another is in traditional new construction is the commercial general contractor. And then if it's a replacement roof on an existing commercial building, then it may be very well the owner or facilities manager is the contractor's customer. Now, what I find the contractor's customers want are a competitive, not the lowest price. They consistently say, Mark, make sure your clients know I'm not looking for the lowest price. I'm looking for a competitive price. I realize if I'm given the lowest price, there's going to be a downside to that I don't want to experience. The contractor customers also are looking for them for their expertise. They literally are saying, don't let me screw it up. I may tell you, Mr. Contractor, I want this, but if that's a bad idea, please tell me. And then the final thing the contractor customers wants is reliability. They want them to do the job correctly and on time. Now, there's two changes in the contractor business that I've noticed over the last 2 years that I want to share with you, that because I think they're going to really affect, one of them is going to affect all of you, and the other is going to affect people that are selling in the commercial market or commercial new construction. So the first one is what I call, the consumerization of business buying. And it was funny, I literally had 3 contractors in the last year literally say the same things to me. They would say, Mark, I work all day. I'm at the office early. I'm out on job sites. I'm putting out fires. Then I come home and have dinner. And then I want to get out my laptop and I want to do business. I want to get information so I can do quotes. I don't want to wait to pick up the phone and call the manufacturer or dealer or distributor. The more things that I can do online, the more I'm going to like that company. And they literally said, 2 of them said, I want to be able to sit in my lazy boy chair in my underwear at night and do business. So you want to think about, is your online presence, is your website capable of meeting that need? And 2 companies that I heard about, one is Marvin, that I consistently heard from builders and window dealers that carried multiple brands, that they all talked about nobody compares to Marvin in the window industry. Now, I haven't gone and audited, the 5 or 8 leading window brands, but it was funny how I consistently heard Marvin. So the second shift that's happening, and this is for commercial, is about 10 years ago, you noticed every general contractor added the words design build to their logos. And we're going to talk a bit more about that here in a little bit, but they added the word design build, which is a change in the process, yet the manufacturers have not caught up with this fact, or dealers or distributors in my mind, about the huge shift in commercial construction from traditional architectural specification selling to design build. Here I guess I had that in there twice. I want to do business in my underwear. There, I'm going to reinforce the point to really make it. And here's Marvin, and the other person that I heard, the other brand was ABC Distribution, that I heard contractors talk about how they loved their website and dealing with them online. So those would be 2 to maybe take a look at and continue to think about how you can invest more money in your online capabilities. Let me see. So somehow I had 2 duplicate slides there. So contractors, as I mentioned earlier, they are very important. They frequently decide what brand is used because the customer relies on them for their expertise and they don't want to screw it up. And the contractor usually doesn't want a better performing product. He wants a solution to a problem or to his problems. And he also wants to know who he's dealing with. So keep those in mind. I think you're going to see John's going to reinforce a number of these points. Now, when I look at the world, whenever I'm working with a client, for example, this is in commercial building materials, I think in terms of this graphic or this map or this flow chart. And I try to map out, how does the client's products go to market? How does the competition go to market? Who are the influencers? Who's the most important person here to actually make the decision? Who can push back? And so here's an example. If you were selling a repair, like a replacement roof, the facilities manager is a very important person, but the subcontractor is even more important. I've met with many facilities managers and been in sales calls with manufacturers. They've been very impressed with the product. They've handed us the business card of their roofing contractor and said, please contact him, and if he likes your product, I have no problem with it, but I'm not going to tell him to use it. Now, one of the reasons that is the facilities managers want to have leverage. So they know that that contractor is more important to them than they are to a manufacturer. So they know if you know, it's Saturday morning at 9 a.m. there's a leak in a roof, they have the cell phone number of that roofing contractor. They probably don't have the cell phone number of the manufacturer, nor can the manufacturer do very much. So you want to keep in mind how everybody wants to look and say, where am I important? Where do I have leverage? Now, if we look at new construction, if you go, can bear with me, if you go along the bottom here, the traditional way of doing thing is you go to the owner, goes to the architect, say, I want to build a building. He designs it, goes to the general contractor, and then they have subs come in. If it's design build, you go to the general contractor first, and then he employs the architect. And so you get the subcontractor who can still push back on both of them. And then residential building materials, this is how I see that world, although I'm revising this now as we're starting to see more online activity. But here's the contractor once again, and he primarily sells to the builder or into a remodel repair situation with the homeowner. And once again, he has tremendous sway on whether or not the product is used, no matter how much the builder or homeowner wants that product. So a frequent process is you'll say, we have a better product. Let's communicate the benefits to the contractor, and of course the contractor will buy it. And what frequently happens is we have a better product, let's communicate the benefits, but the contractor doesn't see the benefit as outweighing the cost and hassle of change. So I always think in terms of a scale there about what are the perceived product benefits to the contractor and what is his cost and risk and hassle of change. And how can I make those benefits outweigh the cost and risk of change? I find people frequently ignore the cost of change. It's not like a customer, contractor, builder, anybody can go in and they're changing from Crest toothpaste to Colgate. There's many other elements. Now, I want to share with you two secret weapons that I've found that are, I think they're fairly easy to implement. It's more about attitude than it is about money. That really will set you apart, okay? So the two secret weapons are customer service and knowledge, okay? So, you know, in customer service, your goal should be that you're making everybody you imagine that they have tattooed on their forehead, MMFI, which makes me feel important. So think about any contractor, you want to make him feel important. Now, if I said to you 5-star hotel, you may think of the Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons. And you may say that your customer service is 5-star. Although I'd probably argue there's very few people at that level, but let's say that you feel that you are the best or very good, right? And so along came a person, developer, he wanted to build a hotel in the Middle East, and he really wanted to make a statement. And I don't know whether it was him or a PR person, but they decided to claim that they are a 7-star hotel. So they took it, you know, a level above. Now, you can imagine when you walk in there, you have very high expectations. You're willing to pay more. You also know now your staff has to live up to 7-star service. So I've seen, when I've gone into a number of, when I go to any customer, I will ask them, tell me your top 3 suppliers or manufacturers, and they all can tell me the 3, and I'll ask them why. And one of the main reasons is they give better customer service than the competition. And they said, if somebody came in here and was 10% less, I can't imagine us changing just for that. I have enough problems in my life. So think about customer service and taking it to a new level. I've literally found, as I said there, it makes you bulletproof. It's not something that you can use to get new business as much as it is to help keep business, because people have to experience it. A couple of easy ways to, you know, if you want to rethink your customer service in a do-it-yourself fashion, there's a great book, it was written probably 25 years ago, called Swim with the Sharks by Harvey McKay. And he became a success selling envelopes, which there's nothing more of a commodity, by customer service. He tells you how to do it. And the other is, there's a book by Zappos called Delivering Happiness. And if next time you're in Las Vegas, you should go take a tour of Zappos offices and you will see what customer service is all about. And if you can, to me, customer service is about attitude. It's not about spending $1 million on TV or in advertising. And I look at attitude as something that shouldn't cost more money. Now, some other things to think about with customer service. If you probably know, many of you, who your largest customer contractors are. And you should try to have at least, I'm going to say, your top 10 customers. You should have an annual business plan meeting. That doesn't mean the annual time we take you golfing, fishing, or out to an expensive dinner. This is literally sitting down and asking what are their plans, and what can you do better, and how can we help you achieve your plans. At the other end of the scale is new customers. I find new customers come on board, and too often people go, well, they're small, we'll wait and see if they become important and warrant any of our extra attention. What I always think about, when you get a new customer, you probably have one person in that organization that became your champion, and a bunch of people behind him who really didn't want to make the change. So you need to help that person. They're waiting for you to screw up the other people. So I would pay extra attention. One way I do that is having an onboarding process. So every new customer, like I bought a new Jeep for my wife several months ago, and I'm the kind of guy that wants to walk in, sign a piece of paper, and drive away. But no, I had to go meet the president of the dealership and the service manager and this person and the warranty person, and they were there to say, you're important to us, and if you have any problems, here's the people to go to. And so I would think about what would be an onboarding process for a new customer. This reinforces their decision. And so in this area of customer service, it's, as you probably all know, it's everyone's job. It's the delivery driver, a counter person, warehouse staff, accounts receivable, sales, people on the phone. It's your president, CEO, leaders. Everybody's job is customer service. So the end result of this is your customers should say, no one cares more about my success than the name of your company. And I would literally put this simple statement in front of everybody in your company that deals with any customers, so they keep in mind it's really just that simple. Weapon number 2 is knowledge. So you should know more. I can't tell you how frequently I hear from builders, contractors, dealers, distributors talking about how uninformed, uneducated the average building material salesperson is. So this is the thing about being very knowledgeable. So you should know more about your category than your competition. So if you sell lighting, you should know more about trends in lighting than your competition, and other bold things about the broad things about the category. You should know more about a customer's business. How does a roofing contractor's business work? Is their business up or down? They're having labor issues. How are they solving those? And ideally, you know more about each, particularly your larger customers. What are their challenges, their threats, and so forth? And you should know more about these things than your competition. When you do this, trust me, it is really easy to stand out from all your competitors, because these are two areas that I find consistently are very weak. So I've got to move along here because I'm going to eat into John's time. But first I want to talk to you about home improvement contractors. So home improvement contractors are tending to become bigger, more sophisticated. They really know what they're doing. They're very metric driven. They can also be like an independent, like this poor woman out here. They also will tend to be maybe the brand. Here's some deck contractors. The deck contractor at the right is at a home improvement show in Denver. I could not find the logo of a brand of deck that he was selling. There's another deck contractor's website, and down at the bottom, he offers everything. So, you know, that to me is not a great position for a manufacturer, particularly to be in. And then we've got, you know, the person I'm calling it says showroom dealer, but this is an area where our nomenclature in industry, where dealers, contractors can kind of get mixed up. So I'm looking at, we'll call these home improvement contractors, but they tend to be experts or specialists in their category. And the sales or designer people have power to decide what gets installed or what gets sold. So the way to succeed with these people is to, with home improvement contractors, be one of their brands, become the preferred brand by the salespeople and the designers. It doesn't matter what deal you've put together with the owner. The salespeople and designers will find ways to prefer the brands they want and find ways to help them be more successful. So be more successful with sales and marketing programs, training, and make sure you have excellent customer service and problem resolution. If you make kitchen cabinets and you make a mistake on a shipment, you need to drop what you're doing and get that fixed, because if they see that you're not easy to deal with, they're going to be less inclined to recommend your product. Another one that I always find is home improvement contractors are all competing with each other. And I always think about people only have so much disposable income to spend on a home improvement. And, you know, is the real competition going on vacation instead of a new kitchen or a new deck? You know, and helping them to see, you know, it's okay to promote, like, wouldn't you love your new deck and the benefits of that? Because they're probably thinking more about, do we want a trip to the Caribbean or a new deck more than they are which deck contractor are we going to choose. So they're also, they're you know, extremely hardworking, which shows me, you know, the value of the leads they get and the profit margins they must make. You know, every weekend we have some sort of festival here in Boulder, and every weekend, you know, there will be, you know, Anderson certainly at every single one of them. They were even, you know, at the Gay Pride Festival, which I didn't quite understand, but, you know, they don't miss a chance to be at everything. So they're out there. Now, here is back to this independent. So when you're, you know, if you sell a product through some independents, you know, this woman needs some help. You can't see any branding. You don't even know what she's selling. She you know, has, you know, anyway, you know, just some help. Here's an example of, here's an independent, but here James Hardy either gave or rented or lent him, you know, a branded canopy there. Now, when you walk in there, you know, what do you think he's going to be recommending? You know, he's going to be recommending, you know, James Hardy. So with home improvement contractors, who I'm calling showroom dealers here, your goals should, 1, be one of their brands, 2, become the preferred brand by supplier designers, their suppliers, their sales and designer people, and help them be more successful. Now, how to sell new construction contractors. So the sales process starts with the residential or builder or architect. You need to convince them of the benefits to them or the project, and then you need to convince the contractor. The contractors, you know, can say, instead of should say, labor shortages mean they can say no to the builder or architect. And I've seen this time and time again where a builder or architect wanted to use something and the contractor literally said no. It's going to, I'm not used to that, it's going to cost you more. This is what we're going to do if you want me to do it. So contractor issues are, change will cost me money. So they look and say, I have to pay to train my installers. I have a higher chance of callbacks. My first few jobs are going to be very inefficient. I'm going to lose money. I don't know how to estimate this. And are you asking me to deal with a different dealer or distributor? So these are all things to you know, keep in mind. So contractor solutions are, show them the risk of not changing. Don't tell them you'll make more money. That, you know, falls on deaf ears. Train them. teach them installation tricks or things to avoid, provide estimating tips, and make sure if it's a different dealer or distributor you're expecting them to deal with, that you introduce them to that local supplier. Now we're going to quickly go through this. This is for if you're selling commercial new construction. So we've got this phenomenon of design build, as I mentioned earlier, and their motivation, primary motivation, is the time value of money. So how fast can you help me do something? And so here's where they are. So I'm the owner and I go to the general contractor and he hires the architect and the subcontractor works for him. Now, as I mentioned earlier, contractors have all added the words design build to their logos. And if we take a look at from 1985 through 2015, the gray line is traditional architectural specification and the blue line is design build. So it's 50-50 now, yet I find many manufacturers, dealer, distributors have not caught up with this change. And here's a quick example of why they do it. In design build method, you will get the building built 25 to 30% faster. So that's the reason why. So here's an example of Armstrong who has done it right. This was at the design build show. I'm sorry, it's a little blurry, but they took the time to do a backdrop that's aimed specifically to design build contractor, finish every job on time, on budget, on the mark, installs 12 times faster, clips and accessories overnight, installs 3 times faster, stop cutting and painting, installs 2 times faster. There's specific messages the design build contractor is interested in. So in design build contractors, the local reps need to maintain relationships with general contractors because they start the jobs. You have to be able to, quote, install cost extremely fast, like if not on the spot within 24 hours. Many times they will take your price and they won't bother to go bid it out. And you need to be able to deliver on the date that you say. So it's not so much about speed of delivery as it about speed of quoting. So I see this as a growing opportunity with little competition. So I'm going to finish up here so we can get over to John. But overall, I want you to think about how to sell contractors is the contractor's primary motivation today is his labor cost. That's where he makes or loses money. It's not on marking up product anymore. Keep in mind they're powerful influencers. They can say no to a builder or an architect or a general contractor or work very hard to unsell you. So what the contractor wants is a relationship. He wants customer service. He wants competitive, not lowest prices. And part of that relationship is your local supplier is critical. If you really want to understand a contractor, and whenever I meet a person who says, I'm going to start my own contracting business, I recommend this book to them. This is a great book called The E-Myth, and you really learn the struggles of most contractors, particularly when they're starting, and that is they were a great installer, and now they have to wear a lot of hats. So I always think of contractors as installers at heart. You don't find accountants or engineers who decide to become contractors. They tended to be an installer and then went out on their own or took over the business for a father. They're very resistant to change and stubborn. They tend to be a family business many times, so you'll have the incompetent daughter-in-law or sister-in-law as the bookkeeper. And right now they're going through tremendous labor shortages. So you keep all those things in mind when dealing with contractors. So contractors, installers at heart, family businesses. How can you help them with those weaknesses? They're resistant to change. Show them the risk of not changing more than the benefit of changing. Labor is a problem. Can your product install faster? Can your product be installed by someone with less experience? Are 2 messages they really like to hear today. Now, I'm going to turn it over to John. John, sorry I've taken a little longer here. And watch with we're going to have a little technical switcheroo here, so I'm going to stop sharing and John's going to take over the screen.
Hello, everyone. building. Are we getting feedback here, Mark?
No, you turn your volume down.
Okay. All right. Building contractor relationships. There's no big secret in building relationships. You build a relationship with a contractor like you do one of your best friends, no matter what you do. In a contractor situation.
I'm not seeing your slides.
You're not seeing my slides, huh?
If you hit the green arrow on the top left and where it says start sharing or share.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom, I think you have to hit a button that says, or at the top, it says start sharing.
Can you see it now?
Not yet, but. Hey, what? John, just in the interest of time, what if you just go ahead and share your information, your wisdom?
All right. Let me just try one more. Okay. Again, contractors, they have to know, like, and trust you. And it's just like any other relationship. They have to feel comfortable with what you're doing. You have to look out for their best interest. Your best friends, if you just called them when you wanted something, they probably wouldn't be considered your best friend down the road. They probably wouldn't take your call. Same way with contractors. It has to be a two-way street, and you have to build a relationship with them. Relationships today, in general, are moving from a relationship-based model to a transactional one. If that happens, the only conversation you can have with the contractor is on price and availability. It's very hard to have a conversation on a value proposition. Manufacturers have the conundrum of being able to sell through a distribution network. So you have limited contact with a direct contact with a contractor. The distributors typically don't like to share contractor information. That's to say, it's sometimes it's hard to share what they don't have. It's hard to establish loyalty. If you're one of the top 3 suppliers to those distributors, you'll get their attention, maybe the top 5. But other than that, it's very hard to build loyalty at the distributor level. Relationship selling, you need to know and understand the contractor. And in order to do that, you need to get FaceTime with them. You need to engage these contractors, and the best way of doing that is doing that with success stories of how you've helped other contractors solve their problems, do a better job, make it more profitable. Ask for feedback from them, and don't do all the talking. Make sure that you listen. Contractor profiles, as Mark said, they're very loyal. They don't like to change. Small family businesses, usually are less than 20 people. Their day starts around 6 o'clock in the morning and ends around 5 at night. They're multitasking from sales to project management. Most of their day is spent in the field. So you want to be able to have something, a mobile device, in order if they want to contact you or vice versa. Their biggest challenge is finding qualified workers. The second biggest challenge is training them, and that could be an opportunity for you to have some online training programs to help the contractor train his folks. Contractors buy stories before they buy stuff. So what are they looking for? As Mark said, they're looking for solutions to their problems. So you have to give them good stuff. No BS. They want to have solutions to their problems. how to do it better in less time using new and improved methods. They want access to knowledgeable factory people for problem solving during normal business hours. So and the manufacturers, they want manufacturers to do what they say they will do. How to connect with the contractors? Obviously, send them referrals would be one good way of starting to build a relationship. Owens Corning is a site in your space that does a good job of right up front. If you're looking for a roof or installation, the first thing they do is they send you to a contractor. We suggest to our clients that sales forces spend 70% of their time on the field with contractors and 30% with the distribution. Ways that you can enhance the contractor experience. You can have a special contractor portal, a hotline, email. Gerber Plumbing, for example, has 2 websites. They have one website for the consumer to look at their products, but they have another website just for the plumbers to go in and talk about all the back end stuff that they need to talk about. Websites, again, a very inexpensive tool for your website, even if you aren't in the process of doing a new website, is to do a live chat button, so that people, if they're on the site and they have a question, that they can talk to somebody. Another thing that you could do with contractors, especially your bigger ones, is a lot of manufacturers have contractor councils that they meet a couple times a year. Once is usually at the factory, that you bring them in and show them all the things that you're doing, and let them meet some of the folks that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. And the other one, the other time of the year, is to be able to meet with them when at a trade show, or sometimes do a little recreation and take them golfing or fishing for a couple of days, and intermingle with that with actual meetings. You'll get great feedback. Responsive websites, again, they're on the road, so if they can't get you on a tablet or a smartphone, it's going to be hard for them to do business with you. Train their staffs. Again, their shortage of good quality people. They don't have time to train them. And if you can train them, it goes a long way for relationships. Apps. Some of you may have apps for smartphones that again help them measure better, quote better, those kind of things. It's very, very important. Social media, we're going to talk about a little bit today. There's a myriad of things for social media. We're not going to talk about the whole gamut. We're just going to focus on a couple. But one of the big things, the buzzword now in the marketplace, is content marketing. And content marketing is just a new word for something that we've been doing all along. The definition is creating and distributing relevant content to a clearly defined audience with the objective to drive sales. Well, we're doing that now. It's just a matter of they're calling it a different name. Content marketing, again, as you're trying to develop leads, content marketing wants you to go after subscribers as opposed to leads. Subscribers give you an interaction, and you can engage with them on a monthly newsletter basis, for example. You want to do and develop a good email database list, not social followers. People who like you on Facebook aren't necessarily going to buy stuff from you. And in the contractor's case, contractors are not going to go to Facebook to find you. Less is more. Again, no BS. Give them good contact. Social media that I want to just briefly talk about today that manufacturers should focus on are YouTube, SlideShare, LinkedIn, and blog. I'm sure most of you are familiar with YouTube. They have 1 billion unique visitors each month and sees 4 billion views every day. It's the second largest search engine next to Google. And what's nice about YouTube is the results are also integrated with Google. The key with the YouTube is to tell a story, keep it short, tell the story first. Short is always better, and focus on the first 15 seconds to get your message across. That way you can engage customers, educate them. Do your points of differentiation. Don't be afraid, especially if you're a conservative, straight-laced kind of a company, which most manufacturers are. Entertain people. This is a place where you can let your hair down a little bit and be different. SlideShare. I don't know if everyone is familiar with SlideShare, but it's the world's largest sharing community for presentations. It's owned by LinkedIn. LinkedIn bought them a couple of years ago, but they do 60 million monthly visitors, and there's 215 million page views a month. Ideally, for SlideShare, you can put presentations on there, documents, PDFs, videos, white papers, even webinars. Again, use the keywords, and that will drive leads to you. Some of the benefits, again, SlideShare is probably one of the largest untapped SEO potentials out there. It helps you improve your presentation skills. It helps you get invited to speak at trade associations and trade shows and meetings. It also ties together with Facebook and LinkedIn. It helps you grow your professional network. LinkedIn, I'm sure everyone knows about LinkedIn. It's a professional social networking site, virtual community for professionals. But everybody thinks of LinkedIn as a way of looking for jobs or finding someone if you have a position that's open. And that's true, but there's so many other things. LinkedIn is a personalized or individualized type of a website. They've got 347 million members worldwide, 84 million members in the US, and 30 million company pages. LinkedIn has an area that you can get into groups. In your space, in the building materials space, AMHA, Home Improvement Industry, has 14,000 members on a group. The Commercial Construction Professionals has 10,000 members. HVAC, 118,000. Linking Construction, 155, and so on. There are a bunch of groups that you could join on LinkedIn and participate in conversations. If you join a group, you have access to all the contact information of those folks that are in your group. If you don't have a LinkedIn company page, you should, because of this difficulty in presentation. There are some graphics, and the graphics will be available after this. But the LinkedIn pages are so good that it gives you a quick snapshot of who your company is. It allows companies to have a presence there. If you have blog posts, it also gives you a place to give information. The company pages also, if you want to, like Facebook, you can buy ads and search for people that are in your demographic. It's basically a pay-per-click model, a bidding structure. And again, if you're looking for contractors, that roofing contractors, they can drill down so that roofing contractors, by identification, will get some of these messages right in their feed all the time. The LinkedIn sponsor updates, again, they can appear in the actual feed, not in the sidebar. So again, it looks better. The customization is title, job function, industry, company size, and seniority. Lastly, I'm going to talk about briefly is a blog, and a blog is a form of social media. It's considered owned media. Blogs are very good, but they're very time consuming. But if you want to really become the industry expert, it's just probably the best way for you to do it. Some key questions you have to ask yourself is who is your audience? Who's competing for your audience attention? What do you want your blog to be focused on? What are your goals? And how are you going to measure those goals? The pros of starting a blog, again, you establish your brand as a thought leader. You can share your professional knowledge. It creates a central hub for your social media efforts. And you can use the blogs to repurpose things on LinkedIn. And if you use Facebook and whatever, it can be used there as well. Helps build relationships. And it can be used to support other marketing initiatives. Also, the search engines are tremendous in bringing people to your blog via the keywords, which is a great way to track things for you. In summary, you need to know your audience, you need to build a relationship with them, and you need to become a resource for them and help them build their business. And it's a long-term commitment. This is not a third quarter objective that has to be done. You have to do it over a long-term strategy. Mark, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you. There. So just a few final thoughts here, everyone, I'd like to share with you. First is, and follow up to what John, I think what John talked about at the end, you may sit there and go, yeah, I've heard about Facebook, LinkedIn. What are these things really? Blogs, what can they really do? The first one is, you're going to find that most of your competitors are not up to speed on this. So it's a real competitive advantage. The other one that I've been thinking about is when you do traditional old school marketing, like you create an ad or you go to a trade show, you pay we'll say a creative cost for an ad, whatever that might be. And it could be lower than this or more than this. If you go to a trade show, you pay to have an exhibit company create a booth, it gets shipped, you have travel and hotel expenses. So you have that upfront cost, and then you have the cost of you have an ad you have to pay to run the ad in the magazine. If you have the trade show, you have to pay for the space and so forth. And so if you ran an ad in January issue of Professional Builder or Roofing RSI or something, in 1 month, it's done. You better have gotten the benefit that you can. You go to a trade show, 3 days, it's done. You better have gotten your money's worth. Now, there's times to do advertising, there's times to do trade shows and so forth, but just want you to think about their limited shelf life. They certainly have a lot of reach in a short period of time, but they have limited shelf life. Now, if you have a blog post, for example, I see it that you pay once and you benefit many times instead of paying twice and benefiting once. So if you develop content for a blog, it can cost as little as $50 to $50 to $600. I mean, you can spend thousands if you want, but we'll just say there's a cost to develop the content, and then the media is free. You put it on your blog. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything for Google to go find it. And years from now, if you write a blog post about how roofing contractors can estimate better, 5 years from now, contractors are still going to be hitting on that. So I just want you to think about the importance of looking into what John talked about there at the end of his presentation. And part of that is, don't be an old white guy, because the old white guy thinks, well, we still have to go to the trade show. We still have to print the catalog. We're still going to run some ads. And so don't be the old white guy. And keep in mind, I want to do business in my underwear. So once again, continue to move investment from old school marketing into your online. Your goal should be to have, for the contractor who we're talking about today, your goal should be to have a website that meets the contractor's needs better than anyone else's. So, so keep that in mind, and don't assume you know what the contractor wants. Before I started a new website or any online, I would spend time interviewing contractors, asking them who has the best website in companies you deal with and why, and what could our website do better to make your life easier. And you know, so I would keep that in mind, that you're probably losing customers today who want to shop in their underwear. Another one I want you to tell your salespeople is to think about, you know, there's a thing about if you're in karate, you strive to become a black belt, and there's plenty of people who are a black belt in contractor sales. But the most effective, successful black belts always think of themselves mentally as a white belt. They're always looking to learn. And I share this, however you learn, you know, one way is certainly to read my book, but there's many other ways. But I had a VP of sales for a siding company tell me that she had 12 salespeople. She bought 12 copies of my book. She told them to read the book. Then she told them for the next 2 weeks, every time they called on a contractor, literally sitting in the parking lot before they walked inside, to read the chapter in my book about contractors. And if they had 3 sales calls in a day, to read it 3 times. And after 2 weeks, she had a conference call and asked them what had happened. And they said it was amazing. The conversations totally changed, that the contractors opened up and told them things they never thought that they would reveal. So it's just that idea about, you know, not thinking that you know it all, and encouraging your salespeople particularly to continue to learn and take a fresh perspective. So recommendations are: 1, take a fresh look at your contractor customers. Focus not on your products, but on identifying and solving his problems. From a marketing standpoint, look at what can you stop doing so that you can shift money to things like online and areas where you should be doing more. Look to become both, have your salespeople as well as you as a company, that you are the knowledge leader. You know, your website should have more information to help somebody than anybody else, any of your competitors. And do everything you can to improve customer service. And as John mentioned, you know, have a blog, do other things to be the online leader. So keep this in mind, you know, for all of your employees, that what our customers should say is, no one cares more about my success than the name of your company. So keep in mind, hopefully we've given you some ideas, some thoughts, that, you know, ideas are the natural born enemy of the way things are, that they're frightening as they threaten what is known, and they can be scary and messy and fragile. So expect resistance, and hopefully you've gotten some good ideas that are going to help you go and grow your sales. We're also, I had a question here from Jim. He wanted to know if there's a possibility we can send the presentation via email or download. And yes, as we had an issue there with John's presentation, I'm going to take my presentation, John's, and probably put it in Dropbox because they're quite large. And I'll send all of you a link, as well as this will be available on YouTube probably tomorrow. And I will send you a link to that. So if there's any other questions that any of you have, I've hit, somehow we got it done in an hour. You know, please feel to type them in. Otherwise, feel free to contact John and I if you have other questions that you'd like us to answer for you. And Tanya says, great webinar. Well, thank you, Tanya. You're welcome. Thanks for the compliment. So, and I'll be, my goal is to have a one webinar a month, and so I'm taking apart all of the issues and the interests that a building material manufacturer, dealer, distributor might have about how to more successfully market. And so just be on the lookout as I send out notices of them. So I hope you all have a great day. And that's all John and I had to share with you.